The code is immutable. The money is
The Genesis
decentralized.
locked at the edge of the mempool. We are decoding Bitcoin's signal in the noise. Privacy, self-custody, censorship resistance. Welcome to the revolution. This is OnChain Revolution.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Yago B, and I am your host for the show. We got a lot to talk about today, and welcome to my TikTok audience. I am going live for the first time on TikTok as well. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show. If you are watching, give a follow and drop your comments in the chat as well. Welcome to the abstract community as well, right? So continually drop your comments over there. Rumble, where else are we? Twitch, Kick as well, and of course YouTube and X. But we got a lot to get into today. The main topic of the show is Bitcoin is at a crossroads. Strong move up or things get ugly fast. And I am thinking, I'm getting more and more confident that things get ugly fast. And I know that's probably not what you guys want to hear, but the SMA indicator that I'm going to be going over today is just, if you look at the history, it has really given us such a clear roadmap of where Bitcoin goes, right? And we're going to dive deep into that, but we're also going to hit on, another main topic of the day, and that's the private sector jobs report, right? We only added 22,000 with an expected 48,000, so big miss there. We're going to get into a Fox article a little bit to see, how much that is affecting the market pulse that we're going to hit on today as well to kind of start the show, which we do every show. And then we're going to hit on some news later on. The Binance FUD continues, but now you're having major figures like Cathie Wood blame 1010 on Binance, right? And pretty much the rest of crypto Twitter as well, just blaming Binance for the largest liquidation event in crypto history. But Binance has come out and put out some analytics to show that they are, a strong entity, and they're here to support the crypto space. So we'll see if that helps, because as of right now, Binance and CZ have a ton of pressure on them. And then we're going to get into some wallet activity for Bitcoin. Not really good news, but there is a little silver lining with that, and we'll talk about what that is. Also, we'll hit on an interesting, direction that the AI autonomous bots are heading into with Rinse a Human. Someone had started basically a Fiverr, kind of like a Fiverr, where autonomous bots can rent humans, and that will be a fun one to get into as well. Vitalik, came out yesterday, and it almost sounded like Ethereum L2s might be irrelevant. But if you read deeper into the post, that's not what he's saying. He's speaking more about their plan on scaling ETH1 and ETH layer 1, and we'll get into that as well. Then we'll kind of wrap the show up with the Bitcoin ecosystem, the guys from the Block Runner launching nat.fun, which is an interesting thing. I reserved my block. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And then we'll hit on some of the Solana and Base markets as well. And we will wrap up the show that way. But continually drop your comments in the chat. What is up, Drex? He says, good morning, Yago. Good morning, Drex. And I will get to your comments accordingly as we get through the show here. But let's get back to the market pulse. Let's see what is happening over here with Bitcoin and the rest of the asset markets, right? Obviously, that was not good news about the ADP private job report, right? Increased jobs, 22,000, huge miss. And if you look at the stock market, the indices actually started off pretty flat, so they're kind of back to where they started. I did see them rebound a little bit, but it seems like that news with ADP and the new jobs reports just wasn't good, and it's continually lingering here in the stock market. You see the Dow Jones is okay, it's a little bit green. The VIX continually shows a high mark here, which makes sense because we're having continuous volatility in the markets, right? The Dixie is showing a little bit of strength, which makes sense whenever crypto is pulling back. And then the Russell seems like it wants to join the party here. So it is pulling back almost a full point, which makes sense because it is the most risk on environment, but in the stock market. But it has actually performed a little bit better than the other index funds, right? You see the Mag 7 here kind of getting hit here, down 1.35%. And then you see the monsters, NVIDIA pulling back 3% and Google pulling back 2%, along with Tesla pulling back 3%, Apple and Netflix, the only ones that are green there. And then going to crypto, we are seeing across the board a pretty strong pullback. Bitcoin's pulling back almost 2.5% here. Ethereum is pulling back 3.7%, so almost 4%. And then you have the precious metals, and they have been the best performers in all of the asset class as of late as well, right? A couple of days ago, I would say maybe like going back 4 days, 5 days ago, obviously they were hit pretty strong, but that's after having a euphoric run up, right? I mean, silver was, I believe, at 122, but it got all the way down to 72, I believe, or 73. Now it's made a strong bounce back. It's sitting at $86 here. And then you're seeing gold under $5,000, right? So gold is a little bit slower to bounce back than silver, but it makes more sense because silver's easier to move as well, right? So that is where we are for the market pulse and kind of how the market is responding to the jobs report. So let's get into that. Fox Business right here, the title says, private sector added 22,000 jobs in January, well below expectations. So this is not the jobs report that the government puts out. And that is actually going to be delayed because of the government shutdown that was going on. By the way, the government shutdown does look like it is been resolved. Trump did sign the funding bill, I think, late yesterday. So that's some good news for sure. But let's get into this jobs report here from ADT, which is the private sector. It says the figure is well below economists' estimates of a gain of 48,000. I mean, it didn't just miss the mark. It swung hard and completely did like 3 spins and missed it. It says prior payroll numbers were revised lower to a gain of 37,000 from an initially reported gain of 41,000. Job creation took a step back in 2025, with private employers adding 398,000 jobs, down from 771,000 in 2024, said ADP chief economist Neela Richardson. While we've seen a continuous and dramatic slowdown in job creation for the past 3 years, wage growth has remained stable. So even though new jobs have slowed down, wage growth has been pretty stable. So that's a good thing, right? Now, what is this going to mean for the actual jobs report? I think that is what people are really, really nervous about. Right. So it's kind of a good thing it's going to be delayed. And when are we going to get that? Are we going to get it next week, or are we going to get it next kind of cycle that happens? Well, let's take a look here at the actual economic calendar. And you can see here the Thursday, which has the initial jobless claims delayed due to shutdown. And we are not seeing a date of when it's going to come back, or when the next time we're going to be able to see that, right? So we'll see if they put anything out tomorrow, or sorry, not tomorrow, Friday. But I have to imagine, it's going to be a horrible jobs report. That is what I'm thinking, just based on what ADP is putting out there, right? And so, it all plays into the current environment that we're in right now. And more as time goes on, I am very, very convinced that, we've been in this bull market since Q4 of last year, right? Now it's just becoming more and more apparent. And I know yesterday we talked about the ISM and how that has, the potential to get things bullish in the near term, potentially. If anything, it would be at the end of February. Maybe beginning of beginning of March. Let me fix my camera thing here. All right. Okay, so let's get into why I feel like we are going to go ugly and we're going to go ugly fast. And it's the SMA. The SMA will tell you where Bitcoin is heading, where it's been, or like, you know, when the bear market kind of started, and then officially when we are deep in the bear market. And I actually think we're further along in the bear market than many people think, right? And you can go back here to 2013, the bull run in 2013 that started in Q4 of 2013. And you can see this trend of, you know, when the bear market starts, right? And a lot of people were claiming it was kind of at the end of 2013. Let's say it was the beginning of 2014. It doesn't matter. It all kind of started at the same time, right? Let me add my screen here. I thought I was sharing that with you guys. But yeah, so this is the weekly Bitcoin chart that has the SMA indicator here. I have the 50, the 100, and the 200 here, right? So I'm going back to 2013. The bull run started in Q4, and then the bear market started in, we can say, the beginning of 2014, okay? And as it goes down, the first threshold that we lose is the 50-day SMA, right? Okay, so it's not confirmed that we're in a bear market. I know most people probably assume that here, but you go down a bit further and then we lose the 100-day SMA, right? And I made these little blue circles here, as you can see on the chart, because it represents where we currently are in comparison, right? Currently right now to the previous cycle. So this is kind of where we are right now, but we'll get into that more in a second here. But then once you lose the 100-day SMA, there's no real turning back, right? You're going almost on a beeline, a straight beeline to the 200-day SMA. And this is how kind of the cycles really acted previously, to where it would hit the 200-day SMA, you know, so we pretty much lose that, right? Because we're right there on the edge, and then it would ride along it sideways, kind of finish off the bear market, and then go into, you know, the next bull market, right? And as you can see, that's exactly what happened here in after the 2013 bull market, and between 2014, 2015, 2016, leading up to the 2017 bull market, right? And then bam, what happens here, right? Exact same scenario. We get to that December of 2017, Bitcoin hits 20K, and then on the way down, we start the bear market, right? First threshold we lose is that 50-day SMA right here, right? Bitcoin was about 7,800. Then everybody's kind of like, are we officially in the bear market? I don't know. Doesn't it remind you a lot of kind of where we are right now? It does to me. And then the second threshold we lose is the 100-day SMA. And then bam, I circled it again for this cycle. This is where we are currently, right? And what happens? Beeline straight to that 200-day SMA, right? I'm very, very confident now kind of where we are heading. And then same situation, just like after the 2013 bull market cycle, you just kind of, you know, ride it a little bit. It went up and down. Now we did have an anomaly here. And I do call the COVID situation an anomaly because, you know, it was a once in 100-year epidemic, right? Or pandemic. And so you do have to kind of count that in there as like, okay, this is not normally how things flow. But so, I mean, because it did break through all of the thresholds during COVID briefly, just barely crashed through it and then bounced back up here. And then, but we head into the next example in the 2021 bull run. And same thing, we did have a double top. Now you have to remember 2021 was heavily manipulated. It was heavily manipulated because there was tons of liquidity that got pumped back into the markets. And it was every asset class really that, you know, got overbought, and crypto was no different, I think that's why we had such a brutal bear market, is because there was just so much, stimulus. There was so much, PPP loans. People were using all type of government assistance to be able to buy assets, and that's what they did. Right. So overbought. We had two tops here in 2021, and then bear market starts. Right. Technically, a lot of people claim the bear market started in December of 2021, and we work our way back down here. We lose the 50-day SMA, we lose the 100-day SMA, and this is where we currently are, right? Comparatively, right? We're right here where this blue circle is. And then the thing that was different about this time is you saw that Bitcoin had another 33% extension past the 200-day SMA. So I think this is where people get, a little bit, this makes me a little bit nervous, but it makes sense though, because like I mentioned, manipulation here, right? Early on in the spring of 2021, and then pushed Bitcoin up again to that $70,000 mark in the fall. So you had it twice because there was so much liquidity over there. So you're going to get an oversold situation as well. And that is how I can explain, going 33% past the 200 SMA, because it was the first time. If you look back here, it didn't happen in the bull market of 2018, bear market of 2018, and it didn't happen in the bear market of 2014, right? And so it makes sense. It was overbought. There was too much happening. Everything was overinflated, and crypto was no different. So now we go to where we are today, and all those blue circles that I made is exactly where Bitcoin is right now, right? So you can see right here, Bitcoin sitting at 70, 73. So it's getting worse as we're speaking here, but you can kind of see where we are comparatively to the previous bear markets, right? So that's one of the main reasons I feel like we are confirmed in a bear market. But if you want to find that silver lining, look where we all were, right, comparatively in the previous bear market, and you can see this area. Let's say it started here in May of 2022. It lasted until June, getting to the 200 SMA, right? So the 200, we lost that in June. Now the 33% situation, I don't think we're going to get, oversold in that type of situation, just because we're not in that liquid environment that we were previously, right? But you can pull back here to the 2018 situation. It took about a month to break the 200 SMA. So we're very close, I feel like, to kind of this bottom, right? But what price is that going to be? Right? Because right now, if you look at Bitcoin being at 73,500, and as the weeks go on, this is the weekly chart, this is going to continually draw out here. We could lose or touch the 200 SMA at something like 60,000. So I'm pretty confident we're going to reach that 60,000, low $60,000 mark. But I do think that that's going to be the floor. Right. And, based off of the previous cycles data is where I'm getting that. And I feel pretty confident about it because, look, where was there a moment that we broke down below the 100-day SMA on the weekly chart and bounced up above it without at least touching the 200 SMA? You can't find another time. Now, I don't even want to go before 2013 because trends really started I feel like in that 2013 bull market. The only time that you can say and it didn't even happen here in this COVID anomaly. It didn't happen here because it busted through all of the thresholds and it passed the 200 SMA and it came back up, right? So we're destined to meet the 200 SMA, guys, and I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but that is what the indicators telling us. But again, the good news is that it's probably going to happen in the next month, right? And once it happens in the next month, we'll have our floor, we'll have our bottom at like maybe 60 to 62, 63, 64,000, and we'll start to go sideways a bit. And then that's whenever I think we start to get our rise back up. It's going to take some time, but I could see a scenario for something like Q4 of 2026, right? So that's where I'm at with the SMA. And unfortunately, I do think it gets uglier quickly. We got Edric says Goblin Town. What is up, Edric? Edric's grave. Alpha Gamer, what is up, man? I miss you, Alpha. I haven't seen you in the Ordinal Hive spaces, which, by the way, if you are listening, make sure, first of all, I haven't said this, make sure that you're subbed to the YouTube channel and you hit a like. That helps me. But on the X side, follow the brand account if you don't mind, at OnChain Ref. But we have we co-host a weekly X space called, I think it's called The Hive. Yeah, but Alpha, I'll be co-hosting tomorrow, so hopefully I can see you in there. I'd love to get your kind of technical analysis of what you're thinking. I haven't heard from you in a couple weeks. And then we got Cheedy that says, "What's up, Yak?" Which is, I guess, his nickname for me, which is short for Yagobi. What is going on, Cheedy? But yeah, going back here to the SMA, guys, this is kind of where we are. Alpha is telling me to look at the 200 EMA. 200 EMA. Let me see if I can pull that up. But again, I don't feel like it's really that a horrible situation. I actually think we're in a pretty good situation. Yes, Bitcoin's going to go back down, but I don't think it's going to, we hit that floor pretty soon, at least within the next month. Let me see here. So the 200 EMA is right here. I think this is why is it so faint? I hate that they use like this faint purple. Let me try to change that. We already got red. Let's just use green. Even though it wouldn't be green, it would be red because Bitcoin would be dumping hard. So yeah, 200 EMA, I feel like it's pretty similar, right? And the exponential moving averages, the EMA versus the SMA. So, I think we would probably hit it around the same time. But yeah, that is the 200 EMA right here. But again, and then you look at some other data points, right? Or, for example, USDT dominance is something that I've been looking at. I mean, and you can just clearly see when USDT dominance is up, we're in a bear market, guys. I mean, look, bear market started here. USDT dominance up. Bull market, USDT dominance either down or sideways. Bear market, USDT dominance up. Bull run, USDT dominance down, trending, right? And so what are we doing right now? We are not only uptrending, we look like we're uptrending pretty strong, right? So and so if I did have someone that wanted to come out and give me an argument and say, well, this cycle was different, right? This cycle was different. Their one argument, I guess, maybe you have a couple, right? We know that like cyclical data that has been proven last year in 2025 did not play out, especially for risk on alt season, right? Bitcoin did have strength. It definitely showed strength. But the one metric that I can't get out of my head is the DXY, right? When you look at the previous alt seasons for the DXY, you see the DXY just break down below it, right? And you can see it gets to like 89, 90, right? And then that's what triggers alt season. And we saw that in the alt season in 2018, really. That started kind of started early 2018. Q4, there was definitely alts that benefited in 2017 for sure. But you got the DXY down in this zone, right? And then you go to 2021, same thing, right? And where we are right now, it just hasn't even broke below this 95 threshold, right? So, it's just different in that aspect, right? I don't know how to explain that. I don't know in terms of why it's different, other than institutions have come into the game, and the risk on hasn't really been focused on really in the stock market either. I mean, the Russell hasn't done well, right? In 2025, it was really the indices and you had the Mag 7 that really benefited from 2025. So yeah, this is something, I guess, if you had an argument, and the ISM that we talked about yesterday, right? So if the PMI continually moves up, I mean, I guess, but again, I don't even think that even matters, right? Because let's say that like the ISM moves up within the next month and a half to something like high 50s or low 60s, while we crashed and we found our footing in the bottom for Bitcoin at that $60,000 to $64,000 mark. And then that's whenever we start to rise back up, right? In maybe like when spring gets going, that type of environment. So I think both can happen actually with the ISM rising, Bitcoin kind of crashing and then finding its footing. And then also the global liquidity. I know we talked about that as well, along with Ethereum too. So there could be a setup that's happening. What is up, PeersNet? Says, hi, Yago B. I was wondering what's going to happen with the OCR, Pass Stake, and Fluid tokens on for Trench Kitty. So I think those tokens were able to be redeemed, but reach out to me on X, PeersNet. Obviously there's been a shakeup with the brand, and I'm completely taken over now. So, I'll make sure that people that had the pass and staked it, that you guys are taken care of. Okay, so just message me on X at YagoBverse, and we'll continue that conversation there. All right, so let's take a look here at Bitcoin currently and what it looks like it has in store for the rest of today. All right, let's see if TikTok has no chat so far, but I do see a couple people over there. Welcome to the channel. We're going to start going live on TikTok Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central. So welcome to the channel. All right, so let's take a look here at Bitcoin on the hour chart. On the hour chart, Bitcoin looks like it is having a continuation of this downtrend that started at about 3 a.m. Central Time, right? And you can see the MACD has the momentum basically continuing as well. I'm not seeing any type of breakdown in the MACD here. The fast line is kind of pointing towards, not completely down, but more down than even horizontal, right? So it doesn't look like it wants to break down just yet. And you are seeing the stochastics start to kind of want the fast line starting to kind of want to creep up a little bit, but until I see the MACD really, flash that white color on the MACD candles here, as well as the fast line start to curl up, I think we're going to have probably a continuation of at least sideways to the downside, right? So that is what I'm seeing for Bitcoin on the hour chart. I mean, it's just with everything that is happening as well in the news and headlines, it's not good, right, for Bitcoin. But let's take a look at the 4 hour to give us a more of a zoomed outlook. You can see that the sell pressure session has started here. We're in the second candle on the MACD. Also, the stochastics looks like it wants to head to oversold territory as well. And so, again, a continuation here of the downtrend. And it looked like possibly we would try to get out of the downtrend that was started way back here if you go back to the 14th of January, right? So, we did break out of it a bit and then went, I guess, try to start some sort of uptrend here and then just been down only, right? And it doesn't look like it's super, super strong right now, the current downtrend that we're in, or sell pressure session for the MACD. this MACD candle is pretty small, but that doesn't mean that it can't break out and show more strength. So for the 4 hour, I do have a little bit more of an optimistic look than the 1 hour chart for what's going to happen with, for today. So for the next couple of days, we'll probably still see downside because it's just getting started. I honestly feel like we're going to have to see some really positive headlines come in for the administration, crypto and Bitcoin in general to kind of turn this around. As I showed you earlier on the SMA chart, we got probably going to head to that $60,000 range in a month. And for that to happen, we got to see some pretty strong pushes to the downside here. All right, so that is the 4 hour. And then on the daily, Bitcoin just looks nasty, right? It looks nasty. You can see the MACD looks really gross here, just pointing straight, almost straight down here. So yeah, I see a continuation to the downside. And look, I'm not a negative person. I'm just trying to tell you guys how it is and what it looks like right now, right? I'm actually getting excited about how some of these prices are going to, go even more on discount. Taking a quick look here at Ethereum, we're sitting at 21.25. The hour, very same thing. Very, very similar to Bitcoin, having a continuation to the downside. We're probably going to see further down for Ethereum in the next 2, 4, 6, 8 hours. The 4 hour is going to be very similar as well. It's a little bit behind Bitcoin. As you can see, we're still technically in that buy pressure session, but I think we come out of this and we go down further. The daily, same thing, right? Same thing for Ethereum as well. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, guys, it's just not looking very great. Let's take a look at the crypto bubbles. Take a look at some of these alts. The top 100. The top 100 looks nasty. And yesterday it was majority green, which was weird because, Bitcoin and Ethereum, when I was looking at it, at least, was getting hit pretty hard. Today, it's definitely majority red, as you guys can see. Some anomalies that are sticking out. You see Hyperliquid up about 4%. Again, they're in the news again. They're Jeff, which is the founder of Hyperliquid and his team. They're just really good at being in the headlines and also making technical moves as well, coming out with the new smart contract standard that they are. And then also today they're in the news with a partnership with Ripple and institutions. That's what a lot of these crypto native founders, they want that. You might think that they don't because they're all about decentralization and all these things. They're going to make a ton of money, right? Because institutions are going to be using Hyperliquid to trade, right? So they're up about 4% here. Coca is up 5%. XMR, Monero up 3.5% there. Everything else is pulling back. On average, in the top 100, we're looking at about a 3 to 5% pullback. Some of the larger pullback stacks, which had a really green day yesterday, by the way. I think they were up about 14.5%. They're pulling back about 6.2% right now. Zcash is pulling back 4.4%. Polygon pulling back about a little more than 4% as well. Some of the meme coins in the top 100, Pengu pulling back 4%, Doge pulling back 3.6%, and then Pepe pulling back 4.6%. You got Pump pulling back 4.3% as well. Again, look for some of these tokens that have shown strength that are going on discount right now, right? BNB, Solana. Solana, I think, got close to dipping below $100. If it didn't, let's see what the price is right now. It's below 100. It's at $92. Imagine this thing was like 200 or close to 200 not long ago, right? All right, let's take a look at the top 200 here. Same thing. We got about a 90% pullback. Frax pulling back 11.5%. Fartcoin pulling back 4%. BSV pulling back 7.3%. And Borg pulling back 8.6%. You got Hex pulling back 5% here. Pulse pulling back 5%. And Pulse and the whole Pulse chain ecosystem, those tokens, the Hex tokens, those are some tokens that, could do well once the bull, things get bullish again. But as for right now, these risk on type of tokens are going to be hit the hardest, right? Got some more comments in here. Alpha Gamer says, according to my charts, we are macro bearish till around October 2026. Yeah, I was talking about that. I feel like the setup is perfect for Q4 of 2026, right? It says, but I'll be swing trading in short term B till then. Yeah. Look, if you can manage that, which I know you can, you're definitely fully capable of doing it. Some people aren't able to kind of get through the emotional swings of it, but I know you can. And I know you'll do well with that. So good luck with that. And he says, I bought the dip on hype when it broke through that $25 level. It is showing strength during this red market, which is a good sign. Yeah, it's showing strength during a red market. And also, whenever things were kind of getting bullish in 2024, remember how strong the token price was even after the airdrop? Because I feel like they're just really smart. Like the founder's really smart and the team is really smart. They were doing fee buybacks or buybacks with the fees that they were earning from the platform. And so although people anticipated the airdrop causing a huge price dump for Hyperliquid, in fact, it continually went up. And it kind of set up some people that got the Magic Eden airdrop for a disaster, because I was more anticipating, the airdrop won't be so detrimental to, the token, because look what happened with Hyperliquid. Magic Eden wasn't buying and not getting the fee revenue as well that Hyperliquid was, right? So, and we got Glasshopper that says, what's up? What is up, Glasshopper? Welcome back to the show. It is so great to have you guys back in here. Let me check and see if Abstract is got any. Okay, no comments over on the Abstract side. All right, let's check and see what we got going on. Okay, back in the crypto bubbles over here. Yeah, so you got Plasma XPL pulling back 8%, a little over 8% here. And really that's it for the top 200. So, all in all, you've got, markets pulling back in Web3, right? In the crypto space, which is, like I said, it's okay, guys. And by the way, if the market is causing you guys so much stress, or, there's a lot of people that aren't able to handle these type of swings. And, me personally, yesterday I had to get away because the market was just it's been so volatile and unstable, right? And I went into the range. I hit some golf balls and it was my best session ever. And I'm so glad I did that. So go step away, go take a deep breath, clear your mind. Is there something else that you can focus on personally? For me, it happens to be, recently my faith, right? I've definitely pulled away from that over the past 2 years, and it kind of stinks that it's taken like the market to be volatile for me to reconnect with that. But sometimes that's what happens, right? Sometimes God will do that to you. And if you're not a believer in that, you have another spiritual belief, that's fine, right? And you can do that, right? But for me, that's what I focused on, and it's made a world of difference, guys. And so take a deep breath, step away, get back into the gym, whatever it takes for you guys, right? Courtney Johnson says, peace, bro. Where's Shizzy at? Yep. So go back to, I would say about 3 episodes ago, but I'll brief you really quick. We kind of went our separate ways. No ill will towards Shizzy at all. Wish him the best. I think he has a channel that he's going to start very soon, and I think he'll do great. I think he'll do great at it. Myself says, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Yes, brother, too blessed to be stressed, man. And we got to remember that, right? Because it's so easy to get sucked into, I didn't do so well this cycle. Everything I planned for from what I learned from the previous cycle didn't play out. I was planning on getting a new car with all this. Look, you're breathing air. You're alive. Hopefully your health is good. You have family, loved ones around you. And those things are priceless. Okay. So, and you got to remember that you have that. And he says, too anointed to be disappointed. Man, I love these phrases that you're putting out myself. Yeah, but getting back here to the markets, right? So everything is pulling back, and that's okay. That is okay. That is okay. Let's kind of check and see what we got on the docket. All right. So one thing that I have been noticing is things are starting to feel like late spring of 2022, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, if you go to crypto Twitter, it is full of toxicity. And when I say toxicity, I'm not talking about individual people specifically. I'm just saying people are at each other's throats. Everybody is going after CZ, and whether if that's warranted or not, I can't not make it. Like, it reminds me of late spring of 2022, whenever Luna started to crash, and eventually we flowed into a horrible disaster with FTX. I think that was heading more into Q4, but I think it's going to be a shorter version of that, right? What we're going through right now. And you have people like Cathie Wood now coming out, right? And talking about basically Binance is the reason that the 1010 liquidations happen, right? And then CZ kind of responding to that, saying, no, the liquidations started to happen because of the tariff announcements, and Binance would be crazy if they were trying to manipulate the markets because they could lose billions of dollars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? But at the end of the day, it's definitely becoming like a viral situation on crypto Twitter, right? Or crypto X, I should say now. So I don't really have an opinion about 1010 if Binance did it. Like, at the end of the day, like, if we don't have actual proof that we can show, and people, we'll talk about how they have blockchain evidence and all this stuff. Well, when Binance sells and Wintermute sells for Binance, which is their market maker, one of their larger market makers, it's a lot of times it's the people on Binance also that are selling. That's who's selling, is their users as well, right? So I think we got to have some hardcore evidence, right? And if that existed, I feel like there would be some pretty deep investigations happening, right? So we'll see if that ends up playing out. But look, you can see Binance is getting, probably getting some pressure on them as well from all of this heat that's happening. And I think they're putting some information out there, whether it's they're giving the information to Cointelegraph or whatever. But you can see here from Cointelegraph, it says Binance leads all exchanges in reserves at 155.6 billion per CoinMarketCap's January 2026 report. And the weird thing about this is I don't see any of the US centralized exchanges on here. That's weird. Is that not weird? Are they not, do they not report this information? But you can see here 155.6 billion. Then you have OKX coming in second at 31.29, Bybit, and go down the line here. But again, like, what is Coinbase's and Kraken's and Gemini's, right? With that being said, though, I mean, there's a huge disparity between Binance and OKX. And I guess this must be all of Asia, because these are all Asian centralized exchanges, it seems like. And they're trying to put information out there to calm people, because what is the narrative that is on X right now? It's that, like, they're going to get insolvent. Binance is going to be insolvent, right? And so they're just trying to prove that, hey, look, we have all the funds here, we're good to go. And I mean, imagine if Binance went insolvent. Like, what price? I'm curious what you guys think Bitcoin would get to if Binance, it was proven for fact that Binance was insolvent. I mean, I think we could probably see some crazy numbers for Bitcoin, 40,000, something like that, right? And then they followed up here, and Binance is following up with their commitment. And it looks like this is the second transaction. It says Binance Seifu Fund bought another 1,315 Bitcoin worth $100.42 million, bringing total purchases to 2,630 Bitcoin, 201 million over the past 2 days. And the commitment was $1 billion over a 30-day period, right? And so, I mean, could you guys feel it? I couldn't feel that. I mean, you look at the Bitcoin price and you're not really seeing that, right? I mean, look at Bitcoin right now. It's at what, 72,000. Like, in fact, if anything, it looks like it made it go down, right? But hey, look, it's to them, I think it's more about they want to be highlighted in a positive note right now because there's so much negative press that is happening with Binance and CZ. But again, they are following through with their commitment and they have the second purchase there. So they have $155 billion in reserves and they're following through with the second Seifu fund purchase. And look, I'm not a pro CZ guy. I think there's probably a lot of stuff that's happening behind the curtains with a lot of things, exchanges, the government, a lot of stuff. And we'll probably never know exactly to the extent unless an investigation is happening by like the SEC or one of these regulatory entities, right? Which would be great. Then we can all have clarity of what's actually happening. All right, next thing here, jumping to whale activity. And unfortunately, this falls into more of the category of my thesis that we're going to get ugly quickly, sooner than later, right? It says here a whale, and it shows kind of like the first, I think, 6 characters of the address has sold, right? Has sold 5,076 Bitcoin worth $384 million in the past 8 hours, realizing a $118 million loss. So this is not good at all. I mean, capitulation that creates a $118 million loss is deep, I feel like, bear market territory, right? Now, obviously, this could be some situation that whoever this whale is moving funds for a better opportunity that they can make money quicker. I mean, that's how whales do, right? These people that are just rolling in money, but taking a $118 million loss, I mean, that is so significant and it's not good times, right? And then you follow this up with some data, which I guess there's going to be a little bit of silver lining here. Here it shows whale wallets dumped $50,000 worth of Bitcoin, but you are seeing some activity from new entrants, right? New participants. If you look at the red line here, it is showing basically about $750 worth of Bitcoin being held in wallets on centralized exchanges. Those type of accounts are going up, while the 10 to 10,000 Bitcoin account wallets are going down, right? So whales are selling, shrimps are buying. But, is this the changing of hands? Is this the beginning of the changes? I mean, I don't think those are equal hands, right? But, you do need new participants, new entrants coming in. So, I don't know how much of a silver lining that is. I tried to pull that out and be optimistic about that, but I just don't know how much of a silver lining that could be. I tried there. All right. This is interesting. 53. Ooh, where is it at? Oh, we'll go here. Actually. So with all of the AI autonomous hype that's been going on, a developer that has been vibe coding, by the way, which is creating so much of this AI autonomous ecosystem, and I don't want to call it an economy just yet, because I do think that there needs to be more money making happening, right? But there's a lot of people that are paying attention to it. But anyways, crypto dev launches website for agentic AI autonomous bots to rent a human. So now these AI autonomous bots are able to rent us humans. And this is kind of crazy, like dystopian, right? The article here from Cointelegraph says, in what some may see as a unique and slightly dystopian use of artificial intelligence, a crypto developer has launched a website that enables AI agents to rent humans to do tasks in meat space. How that is so degrading. They're putting us in meat space, humans in meat space. That's what these AIs are doing. It says in a post via X on Monday, user Alex, an engineer at decentralized finance platform UMA Protocol and Layer 2 bridging solution across protocol, shared a video on his website, rentahuman.ai in action. The site lets humans set an hourly rate and enables AI agents to hire them for tasks ranging from running simple errands. I mean, what simple errands do humans need to do for AI bots? Like buy virtual digital flowers for my AI mother for AI Mother's Day. Anyways, it says to participating in business meetings. Okay, that makes maybe more sense, like representation, right? Taking photos, signing documents, and making real world purchases. Alex said some of the humans for hire already include an OnlyFans model and a CEO of an AI startup, adding, if your agent wants to rent a person to do an in real life task for them, it's as simple as one NCP call. Yeah, so I just don't know where we're going with this, guys. I mean, are we going to be working for AI agents and then eventually robotics that has AI embedded into them? And I mean, are we going into this iRobot type of future? I don't know, man. Kind of seems like it. Well, here's the website. It's called rentahuman.ai. Robot needs your body. AI can't touch grass. You can. Get paid when agents need someone in the real world. Become rentable. You can browse humans in the meat space. See, Alpha Gamer, are you in here? Myself, are you in here? What is up? A varying viewpoint. GM, back to you, sir. So let's see who is in here. See if I can recognize anybody. Alexander Lightflow. So this is the creator, right? The creator of the platform here. And Florian Garcia. Yeah, I don't know. Not right off the bat. I wouldn't be shocked if people just put their name on here for marketing purposes, right? Because people are going to do what I'm doing. Either they have a show or they have something. But yeah, I don't recognize any of these names just yet. Courtney Johnson, where? Oh, Courtney Johnson. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but yeah, so you can see who's in the meat space. You can become rentable, and maybe you can earn money. What if the site takes off, right? What if this site actually takes off because the job market has been tough? And I mean, at that point, then I think we can confirm that the AI autonomous economy exists, right? But as of now, this is something I am putting a little caution on with the whole Molt book and Claude, right? The AI autonomous network. We've gone through, especially with crypto, right? We've gone through these kind of like meta narratives and they get pushed really hard. And then like there's a limitation that eventually or the interest, right? When it comes down to the bottom line, right? It stops that narrative. And we saw it happen with AI in 2024 and definitely the effects of that in 2025 in crypto. Now, this could be different depending upon like how much they're going to be earning. And I think that really matters. One thing that does make me think that this whole meta, it could actually be different is you have Circle coming out as well, doing a hackathon for these AI agents as well. And I think it's like, I don't know exactly how much. I think maybe 300,000 or maybe 30,000, but they're trying to get, I think, USDC adopted by these AI agents. Now, if that happens, then I think we've arrived. Like, this is serious. Like, so pay attention to it, I would say, but also maybe, just pay attention, right? Don't, me personally, I'm not like diving all my money into it. I think someone tried to hire an AI bot as an assistant or something and was paying like $60 a month or a day for inference fees and stuff, right? So it can get pricey. But anyhow, we got some more comments here. Alpha says, breaking per well alerts, a new $1 billion has been minted at Tether USDT in order to buy the dip. Now that they have made people capitulate and sell their bags. I mean, you're spot on with that, right? That is something that Tether does. Alpha Gamer also says, alert happened 15 minutes ago. Okay. And then Courtney Johnson says, AI pays us. Yeah, that's the whole meta, right? That's what everybody is hoping happens. And did my phone die? Oh, sorry for the TikTok community out there. If you guys were watching, I'll have to make sure that my phone is completely charged up before tomorrow's live there. But yeah, so that is where we currently are, guys, with the AI autonomous bot meta. And it seems like it is, maybe starting to heat up a bit. This one was interesting and it probably scared some people. Okay, so Vitalik yesterday says ETH layer 2s will need new value adds as the foundation plans to take layer 2s out of scaling ETH1 plans. So people were kind of posting and saying, well, now L2s have to pivot, and they might need a pivot still a little bit, but it's not going to make them irrelevant. I'll tell you that. I mean, you have tons of money that have been invested in Base and Arbitrum and these type of layers, right? But this is what his post said. He posted this yesterday. Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, or one of the co-founders of Ethereum, he says there have recently been some discussions on the ongoing role of L2s in the Ethereum ecosystem, especially in the face of two facts. The first fact, L2s progress to stage 2, and secondarily on interoperability. It has been far slower and more difficult than originally expected. All right, the second fact, L1 itself is scaling. Fees are very low and gas limits are projected to increase greatly in 2026, right? So both of these are facts. Both of these facts, for their own separate reasons, mean that the original vision of layer 2s and their role in the Ethereum no longer makes sense, and we need a new path. So I can understand people that just kind of read up to here and was like, wow, this is going to be bad news if people just started L2 or something. It says, first, let us recap the original vision. Ethereum needs to scale. The definition of Ethereum scaling is the existence of large quantities of block space that is backed by the full faith and credit of Ethereum. That is a block space where if you do things, including with ETH inside that block space, your activities are guaranteed to be valid, uncensored, unreverted, untouched, as long as Ethereum itself functions. If you create a 10,000 TPS EVM where its connection to L1 is mediated by a multi-sig bridge, then you are not scaling Ethereum. So they're taking out that whole approach and definition that and plan to utilize L2s to scale ETH layer 1. Right. So it says this vision no longer makes sense. L1 does not need L2s to be branded shards because L1 itself is scaling. So basically what he goes into says, stop thinking about L2s as being branded shards. Try to find, ways to add value to Ethereum layer 2s to be unique. And also, I guess in a sense, kind of like, promote Ethereum and EVM, right? So whether that means that you're an EVM chain, but he also goes on to say you don't have to be EVM, right, to be a part of an Ethereum L2 and part of the ecosystem. So I really think that this just goes to kind of push and motivate these layer 2s to be more unique. I think Base has a good spot. Ethereum, Arbitrum has a good spot in kind of the L2 space, right, for ETH. And so he's going to encourage more and more of that, which I think is good in general, right? Good in general. All right, guys, let's get into the Bitcoin ecosystem really quick. So those amazing guys at the Block Runners decided to, this is kind of weird. I mean, weird because they decided to launch a launchpad called nat.fun, right? Now, the reason why I say it's weird is because it actually connects to Solana, right? And it's obvious they have their reasons for that, whether that's UX and speed and just UI as well, or UX really is the main reason why, right? But it directly connects with DMT and what they're building in the Bitcoin ecosystem, which is why I included it here. But let's kind of read what they posted. And this was about 15 hours ago. It says NAT, which is their main token that is a part of the DMT meta protocol, right? So let me explain that to the people that are new and need a little breakdown of what DMT is. DMT is a meta protocol that uses attributes in block data, right? Like for an example, block height would be an attribute, right? And there's a number there. I think we're in like 900 and something thousand blocks that have been mined, right? And then depending on what that number is, it gives like a certain characteristic to this asset, right? And they do that with the entire DMT asset class, right? So you can create ordinals, you can create tokens, and you pick one of the attributes from the block data, and that is how you determine the supply and all those things. And eventually, liquidity gets added and stuff like that down the line to actually give it real value. But this is going to be a part of that ecosystem. Again, they've kind of brought Solana into it. And for the people that might argue and say, well, Solana is not the Bitcoin ecosystem, we got to remember, guys, Doggo to the Moon, which is a Bitcoin room, is also on Solana's blockchain as well. So, Bitcoin layer 1 needs scaling solutions, which is why there's projects in ICP and Solana and other faster L1s that scale for these Bitcoin layer 1 assets. And that's exactly what they're doing here. But let's kind of read this a bit. It says NAT was our answer to Bitcoin's subsidy problem. By the way, so miners earn NAT. That's why they said they started with that statement. And it says nat.fun is their answer to crypto's inspiration problem. And it says, you go down here, it says crypto's darkest moments are usually the moments right before its biggest breakthroughs. We saw it with DeFi. We saw it with NFTs. Every time sentiment collapses, new primitives emerge. I talked about this too. As we go deeper into the bear market, there's going to be a meta or narrative for an entire ecosystem that's going to pull us out of it, right? I'm not saying it's this, but there is going to be something. This is kind of what I think they're talking about. And it says, right now, sentiment couldn't be worse, and that's exactly why we're introducing the next wave of DMT proliferation with nat.fun. And yes, the obvious reaction is, how is another launchpad supposed to change anything? The answer is simple. Previous launchpads failed at the fundamentals. They never introduced a new substrate. They never gave builders a genuinely new creative standard to anchor long-term value to, and they failed to evolve NFTs in a way that preserved their culture and economic meaning. So you can go into this, right? And you can see the way that they're doing this, they're keeping a good amount of this tight-lipped, but they did launch the website, nat.fun. So if you go here, nat.fun, you connect your Solana wallet, whether it's Phantom or MetaMask, whatever you use, right? Not many people use MetaMask, but I use Phantom. And then you can claim a block, one of the Bitcoin blocks. So it reminds me a lot of Bitmap when Bitmap first started. And I claimed mine. And as you can see, well, it must have logged me out. Yeah. But anyways, I claimed mine earlier today. So it doesn't cost anything to claim it. Right. So why not? Right. I went in there, I claimed it. I think I got like block 80,560 or something. So that is where they are now. They're going to start releasing information about the launchpad, and it is going to have to do with NFTs, but also I think they're going to have a fungible token aspect to it. So look, I mean, is this going to be an amazing situation? I don't know, but it's free for me to mint or reserve the block, and then I'm going to figure out once they release more information if it makes sense for me to continue on to that next step, right? I do know that there's a good amount of people that have been claiming blocks, and does that mean that you're going to have a predetermined spot in this launchpad? Possibly. They did mention in a video, which I recommend you guys go sub them as well on YouTube. You can see their latest video either on YouTube or X, that there's an ICM component that they're rolling into this, right? Now, this is powered by Track Systems as well, because they do have that close relationship with Track and Benny, and they build together that way. So that is what's happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem right now that I've seen. And let's take a quick look over at the trenches and see how the base ecosystem, in terms of the tokens that are related to these AI autonomous bots, are doing. We have been going over those for for about a week and a half. So kind of want to see. Now, the steam has definitely calmed down. The momentum has calmed down for these tokens. You can see this one was a newer one. I saw this at like $400,000. I was kind of slapping myself that I didn't get in. But I mean, the markets right now, like, you don't know which one's going to really go, right? It says, I think this one's called Claw Strategy. I believe that's what it is. It's sitting at 10 million. And then you go down the line here, claude.atg.eth. I think this is more of like a social, like an X account type of autonomous bot, sitting at 7.3. Then you go down here and you can see the Claude bot. Okay, so that's not the original one, but Maltbook. So this was the hottest one. So this token is sitting at $20.7 million market cap right now. And this was something that it's only been live for 6 days, right? But the top of this was sitting at like 90 million. So it's pulled back significantly. And that's what I'm talking about, right? For these tokens. And are these tokens meme tokens? Yeah, pretty much, right? If the person that does launch the actual bot, like on GitHub, decides to launch the token, there's more, I feel like, merit with it, or people feel like it's has more the ability to continually drive up. But there's so many people that launch tokens for people that launch these bots, and that's where you get in trouble. So you got to be careful. If you're on X, see if the actual owner of the bot, the person that created the actual autonomous bot, right, launched the token with Banker or not, right? I think it's Clanker actually. But yeah, so you can see this, it's cooling off a ton. It's definitely cooling off a ton. So for me, I would just be very, very careful of any of these tokens, any new thing that comes out, unless the founder of the bot launches the token themselves. Now, if that happens, I feel like it gives it more substance, right? It gives it more of a chance. So you got to be careful, guys. And I've also used the FOMO app, which you can actually get on the Apple App Store. None of this is financial advice, but I will say the FOMO app has been very, very convenient, because what it does is it puts Solana, BSC, and Base all in one app, and all you got to do is deposit like USDC, and you can just go across, and it shows what's hot and what's not. But you can check that out yourself, and then you could look at the Solana ecosystem here, and it's pretty back to really degen. I think the hottest coin that had been going on the past like maybe 4 days is this Goyim coin, which is absolutely crazy, because I think that means like Gentile or something, or like regular people. I don't know. So it's sitting at 2.2 million. I'm not sure if this one's not new. War's not new, sitting at 15.8. Yeah, so not much happening, guys, in the trenches as well. So why would you think anything would be going super strong in super risk on environments when Bitcoin's at 73,000, right? But stuff that is innovative, you got to keep paying attention to that. I think that's very, very important to keep paying attention. That doesn't mean put your money in it or anything, but eventually when the market sentiment gets better and liquidity starts to come back, you want to be ready for what is going to be hot, right? And so that is what I got for you guys today. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys are amazing for continually supporting the show. I will be co-hosting a Spaces on X tomorrow. That's going to be co-hosted by Ordinal Hive. If you're interested in listening in, we're going to be hitting on BRC 20 and 2.0, the next phase of that, which people are using Ordi to mint things and to do things. So it's basically put up or shut up for best in slot, right? So that should be a really good space for people to learn. And if you could give me a follow on X, I would greatly appreciate that as well. At YagoBeverse, I had to restart my account as I used my account for the brand account once we changed things over here. But again, appreciate all of your support. Without you guys, I could not do this show. I want to emphasize that so much because you guys, give me the energy and support to continually do this every day, right? Monday through Friday, even though the bear market is strong right now. But we're going to learn together, and that's important. And also remember, physical and mental health is number one priority, spiritual as well. If you partake in that, I do. So it's my number one priority now, but also without my partners, I couldn't do this show as well. So if you could check them out, if you are interested in getting that banner down there, I can't point at it, the Carta.trade, which is if you go to pyro.buzz, you can bid on that space and it helps out the show. So if you are interested in that, you can do that. And then also, if you could check out my partners, that would also help me. If you go to merlinchain.io and you are interested in earning some Bitcoin for staking your Bitcoin, right? You can do so if you go to stake. First, you go to merlinchain.io and then you go to stake and then click Bitcoin. And then you can see the staking vaults here, right? So they are 3-month lockup staking vaults. They try to shoot between 8 and 21%. It looks like it's about 17% right now. You do get paid out in Bitcoin. So that is an exciting part of it. And so, yeah, that is the Bitcoin staking. And then there's Merlin Chain token, which is the Merl token staking vault as well. There's the day-to-day, which is a flexible staking vault. You get 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day with this vault. If you do want to withdraw your Merlin Chain token, there's a 7-day cooldown period. So just know that. And also there is a 6-month lockup period as well, which you earn 45% APR. And of course it is locked up for 6 months. And then if you could head over to satsman.fun, get a chance, you can launch your own Bitcoin rune, right? Which this is a Bitcoin meme coin launchpad powered by ICP's tech stack as well as Bitcoin. They use both, right? So it's very, very simple. You go to satsman.fun, you etch your rune ticker, and then you launch it. And then once it mints out, all the liquidity goes over to richswap.io, which you can see several different runes already there right now. Dog Go to the Moon, I think Odin Dog, as well as the Rich Swap rune over there as well. And you can earn 1% of the transaction volume as well if you are a deployer. So that's something that you guys can get into. And then lastly, head over to onchainrevolution.io, which is the brand's website. And if you are interested in a VPN, so you can, keep your privacy to yourself. You can go and use our link, which you get a discount. You get like 75% off here for VPN. And then also, if you are interested in a ledger, you can click on the ledger link here, and you also get a discount. And you can check out our daily kind of market update blogs, right? They're really just, about the market specifically, right? So once in a while, we'll launch more of a platform or ecosystem specific blog. So you want to check back periodically as well. And that is it, guys. I appreciate all the support, and until tomorrow, peace.